Back again. Uh, I've got one to tell you this time, guys. I just was having a look through a bit of old paperwork, and I came across a name of a fella I grew up with. Um, I hate saying names because I don't want to be like trying to claim their fame, whatever. So I'm not going to tell you his name. You might work it out. You might not. Doesn't really matter. The story's more about when I was working in D Division. I had initially for a good 6 months, I had a really, really good job as a maintenance billet, Collins Street. So I'll explain Collins Street one day, guys. I think I've mentioned it a few times now and not explained what it was. But anyway, if you, I had a good cell, um, good job, pretty much run of the prison. I could go wherever I wanted and get away with, whatever I wanted to do, really. Um, and then one day I got myself a little bit. Um, I overindulged in some pills, and the next couple of days were a blur. And I remember waking up in what they called the wet cell, which it was basically just a pebble mix room with a plug in the middle on the floor. That's it, and like a sink and a brasco, the silver brasco with the sink in the top, and that was it. And it was number one cell in the wing in D Division. And I think I was that smashed, like I couldn't even stand on the muster line. The officer just sort of opened the door and said, "Put him in there." And I don't know if it was a day, 2 days, whatever. But when I woke up, I was no longer living in Collins Street with a good job. I was now living back up in the Bronx, unemployed, and very, very angry and upset about it, and carrying on like a lunatic, complaining and whinging. Um, So I went to find the officer whenever I could because now I had no freedom. Now I had to ask to go through a door, and I mean, you don't unless you had a reason, you weren't getting through that door. So, but to try and worm and wrangle me way and randomly sort of dawdle so that I could run into the right screw and say, "Hey, can you tell Mister Zammit, that was his name, the locksmith? Can you tell him I'm out of hospital and I want me billet's job back?" Um, But best I got from there was I got a job in the kitchen because I'm a butcher by trade, which was pointless. You can imagine D Division and the butcher. It doesn't really sound um, like a safe job or like a safe thing to have in a prison, a butcher, but I mean, they had the worst knives you'd ever see. Not to mention they had a chain, and that's your knife. On the end, it had like a small 2-inch chain, which was like into the like screwed into the bench, and I could just I'll show you. I could just do this with it. Let's move it from here to there. So from it was like a 2-inch chain, and it was changing to the bench, and I was meant to be cutting meat on top of the bench. Pointless. But anyway, I got this job, and no, it wasn't through, not kissing enough ass. It took a bit of work. I had to get out of the Bronx. I had to get out of those rotten cells up the top, and I had to get back somewhere. I was getting close to getting out, and I didn't want to end up back over in the other side in B Division or on an escort up to fucking Fulham or any of that. Fulham? I don't think Fulham was even built then. It would have been Beechworth. Yeah, it would have been or Blodden or something. I just wanted to get out from Coburg. So I got this job in the kitchen. I thought, sweet. Nothing can go wrong. I've got a month or so to go. Smooth sailing from here. Keep my head down. Go to work in the kitchen. I'll be out in no time. And I put me in my cell that night. Now, if you worked in the kitchen, your cell was in the middle tier. And I was actually, a whole another story, that I was next door to the old condemned cell. It was where they used to have the gallows in D Division. There was, as you walked out of a certain door, of a cell door, it walked straight across into the middle. There was like a race across the middle of the whole wall, the whole building, and that's where the gallows dropped out. And if you looked up, you could see where they used to hook up the business and the floor of the gallows where they would drop out from under them. Yeah, so I was in the cell next to that. Actually stayed in that cell, but that's a whole other story. I'll get to there so at some stage. But yeah, so anyway, I'm in this cell by myself. Like, oh, how good's this? Because they were all two out. That majority of the cells back then were all two outers. There were a few one outers. Collins Street, all one out. But yeah, generally two out. Some four outers. You know, and there was no blueing about it. That's just the whack. So anyway, I'm in two outer, and I'm by myself. So obviously, it's a spare bed, you know, or nothing. And I'm kicking back, making a brew, and then I don't know, whatever time it was, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. Fucking door opens, and Sean Science comes in because he'd just been shanghaied from Bendigo, and he comes into my cell, and I knew Sean. I'd grown up with Sean from Noble Park. If you ever see this, Shawnee, on your mate, you go Noble Park. And Bass as well. I know him from, well, down that way. I won't say exactly where because he probably wouldn't be happy. But yeah, so I've known Sean. And anyway, he said to me, "What are you doing working in the kitchen? Don't you work in maintenance?" And for some reason, anytime from that day on, anytime anything went wrong, Sean Sonnet would yell at the top of his lungs, "It's a maintenance blue," and want me to fix it. Well, you know, we played cricket, ball on the roof, maintenance blue. You know what I mean? Like it became a running joke, which was fine by me. You know, I mean, as long as it's not a running slap around the head every couple. Hey, maintenance blue, whack, whack, whack. I was all right with it, mate. Yeah, but first night, Sean gets to the cell. And he's fuming because he's just been shanghaied from Bendigo. And Bendigo at that time was like, I think it was maybe 80 crims. It was like a drug jail. It was closing down sort of thing. And it was the old school style too. But no one was looking forward to this Port Phillip and the new jails, man. I know they're the old shit ones now, but in Pentridge and, you know, the old days when they were made out of bluestone sandstone, no one was looking forward to Port Phillip. The amount of people that said to me, "Get me the fuck back to Pentridge. I wish they'd reopened the joint." I couldn't count. So, yeah, anyway, I'm in my cell. Sean comes in. He's filthy. And it takes him probably a good half an hour to unwind, stop yelling and carrying on and blaming this world for his situation, basically. And, yeah, then he started banging up. Now, I'm not sure most people who've been to jail know what I'm talking about. In Pentridge, there was no buzzers, none of that shit. You banged on your trap. It was made out of a wrought iron letterbox door, you know what I mean? And of course, it had a padlock on it. So if you bang it, the metal would shatter. Bang, 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 bang. You can imagine 1,000 cells, blokes banging on the door, 1,000 cells inside this big 3-story bluestone cathedral joint. Mate, that place was so loud. And we banging, banging, banging. Power up, power up. You call. It's another story I'll tell you about how they used to turn the power off all the time. But anyway, Sean's there. And it's taken him about an hour or so. He calmed down. He's had a cup of coffee, had a smoke, and then he started banging up and yelling out to the screws. And he said, "I need some help up here, officer." And I said, "What is it, Sean?" He said, "I need to see Chalky." And Chalky was like a nurse, you know, just a little skinny dude, but that was his nickname, Chalky. And he was like the nurse. He'd come around and give out the night treatments that yourself. And I need to see Chalky. I need to see Chalky. And I said, "Oh, I'll be up soon." And as soon as I said that, he turned around to me, Sean turned around to me, and he says, "Right, as soon as these cunts get here, just punch on." And he was trying to get razor blades and melt them into a pen, and I was going to slash. And And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, man? And like an hour and a half ago, I was watching Neighbours having a coffee, just thinking I lucked out and got a single cell tonight. You know, now we're going into battle against the opposite. The security screws are coming, and you want to arm up and go on with it. So, I came. He had a massive argument, but I don't know if anyone's met Sean Sonnet, but he's not. And especially this would have been 95, probably something middle 95, like 94, 95, 96, 97, and then some 2000 time. That's when I did my jar, right? So anywhere in there, 95, I think it was. The screws came down and Sean went on with it that hard. There was more of them that were bigger. They had batons. They had shields. They had the right of way. You know what I mean? They were running the show. And yet they backed down to him, man. Like, they didn't buckle like, oh, we're sorry, Sean, we won't go on with it. But they didn't go on with it when, you know what I mean? He was just like spitting foam. Come on, you fucking dogs. Come on, come on. You know, and at some point I must have said, yeah, sure, no worries, mate. I'm there. As soon as it kicks off, I'm there. But I guarantee you while that was going on, I was in the corner thinking, how the fuck do I get how the fuck do I not get killed here? And yeah, the screws talked him down, man, and I'd never seen anything like it, mate. I seen screws try and talk Richard Mladenovic down. Nah. I seen screws fucking trying to talk, you know, Chopper down. Nah. I've seen screws trying to talk down, you know, real hectic blokes, man. Real hectic dudes. Nah. But Sean, for some reason, once they cracked a few jokes with him and he was back to like nothing had ever happened. You know what I mean? And the next morning we get up and he's like, hey, then we get into the kitchen and they're all like, hey, what are you doing here? And he got shanghaied last night, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Sean was pretty well known in the system then. There was Mick Valla working in the kitchen, who's passed away now. Myself, Jason McCurry, if he's still out there, bros. Yeah, there's a fair few people working there then. Albie the kitchen screw, who as another funny story, Albie the screw. Once I was finished with my jail time and I was working in a butcher shop somewhere. I won't say where, it's a big chain. Guess who I'm working next? I'm looking at this bloke working on the bench next to me. I said, hey, he's working jail, did you, mate? And he's fucking, nah. I said, I know you, Albie. Because he'd actually sued my friend Jason McCurry, who Jason had a fight in the D Division kitchen. Albie had tried to break it up, got a broken arm, sued Jason, got a payout, blah blah blah. So there was a bit of bad blood there, but yeah, man, it's a small world. Yeah, you can see what from. I don't know where I started with that story, me getting sacked from my job and going to get a job in the D Division kitchen, but all the things that happen along the way, man, anything can happen in prison at any time. Like I said, I watched a video, one of Biff's videos the other night, and I think his one was about every time you step out of that cell, and he was calling it his safe zone, right? That you take your life in your hands. Yeah. At least he had a safe zone. We couldn't shut our doors, and even if we did shut them, you couldn't lock them. And if you fucking even looked at like touching the lock, you'd be declared. You fucking, what do you, key turner or something? Which, I don't understand. I understand the theory, but I mean the common sense of it doesn't mix. But yeah, man, just a story that I just want to get these stories out there because I sometimes forget them. My memory is not as good as it once was. So before I forget them all, and someone else makes up some fake ones, like I've noticed been happening. Yeah, man, I try and get some of this stuff down. I know I'm doing a shit job. I know my videos aren't the greatest, and you know, but if you can find them and you have a look at them and you happen to be watching this, tell someone, I don't know, tell me how to do it better, give us a chop out, whatever. But I'll keep doing and I'll keep trying to do better, coming up with some stories. And like I said, I'm going to do some walk arounds and go and interview people because I've seen my hometown getting, made out like a bunch of troglodytes. So I'm going to do a bit of that stuff. And then at least, that people can say what they like, but at least then I've had my say, and then I'll be able to be comfortable that I didn't hear about my area getting run down and not do nothing about it. Because majority of the boys that I grew up with, they're either not around anymore, or if they are around, they're not. They won't be coming to Menzies Ave for quite a while, that's for sure. Menzies Ave boys, mate, they've turned into something else these days, but the Menzies Ave boys, mate, that's where I come from, and that's who I'll always be. And so I'm going to go there, and I'm going to make a video about that. And hopefully, mate, I'll introduce it to not some random guy on the bus. We'll go to the houses. I'll introduce it to some celebrity, whatever you want to call them, crim's parents, if you like. But just for some legitimacy. I'm not liking all this. There's a guy out there at the moment that there's nothing he hasn't done. He's been shot, stabbed, fucking battered with baseball bats, and fucking hit with fucking Russian drones. But he just keeps on. Nothing can stop him, mate. So, I'm here just to say, or maybe I'm not saying any of it's not true, man, but I mean, you make things sound real easy, you know what I mean? But anyway, maybe you do it easier than others. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to cut it off here. Hopefully, get a new camera this week, but tomorrow, sorry, and then I'll be down doing a walk around early next week. I'll edit that properly and do a proper one, all right? So, yes, bear with us, guys. Bear with us. This is some early stuff. I'll redo all these early videos at some point, but if you're sticking with me now, keep sticking with me because, I've got some really funny stuff. I've got some really interesting people, and I've got some really hectic, hairy stuff too. So, nothing that can't be proved, which is that's what I hang my hat on, mate. Is anything I've done or said or I'm going to say on here can and will be proved. So I will leave you guys with that. Have a lovely day. 87963. Going home.